how to move one of our images that we've gone through and made some edits to into our portfolio document. Um, so the first thing that I'm going to do is go up to image, and we're going to change our image size. We're going to go to image, image size. And here is where we roughly want to have a 17 by 11, and our resolution is 200. So all of that looks really good. If we need to change anything, we do need to make sure that we're typing in 200 for our resolution. And then whatever our longest side is, we want to make sure that that is 17. So I'll go ahead and say OK. And you'll notice that I have several adjustment layers right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to say select and say select all, or I can do Command A. And I'll get those marching ants going around my image. And the one thing that we needed to remember to do is to go down to copy merge. If we don't do that, we'll end up just copying that hue and saturation layer that's right there on top. So I'll say copy merged, and I'll go into my new document. And it's pretty simple. Do Command V, or I can go up to Edit and say Paste. So Command V, Paste. And you'll notice, of course, that this image is a little bit too big for what I'm working with. So I'm going to do Command T, which is to transform it, or I can go under Image, and I can go in and I can kind of make some changes. Actually, sorry, it's going to be Edit, and I can go to Free Transform. And then I'm just going to drag that edge in. I can also see my guides that I have drawn. And so I can do that by doing Command and then quotes will bring up a grid. And if you decide that you have a specific place in the grid that you want to set your image. And then we can also center it by, as we hover, you'll notice that that pink line will come up, which will say that our piece is centered. We can apply that transformation by double clicking inside, or if I go back and resize it again, I can also hit return. So there's several ways that we can go through and do this. In the left-hand side, you're going to have your text and information. And if I turn the grid back off, we might want to bring it down just a little bit. So the first couple of slides that you're going to make, you're going to really kind of play with, like, how does it look? This text for me is a little bit too big, so I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit. And then just making sure that everything kind of lines up really nicely and neatly with the grid. So let's say that this is one of my slides, and actually I can see it is not. There we go. Oh, where's my middle line? There we go. All right. Now it's centered. All right, so let's say this is my first slide. Let's say that I'm really happy with it. I'm going to go ahead and do Save As. So go to File, go to Save As. And once again, I'll be saving this into my folder. And right now, I'm suggesting that you guys save it as that Photoshop document, just in case there's anything that you want to go on and you want to change. So I'll say Save. Right now, I've already done this demo before, so it's going to go through, and it's going to ask me about, do I want to save over that? Of course, you wouldn't have that same issue. Remember, when we make our portfolio template, what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and go to New. And then I need to make sure that I'm naming it something that I'll remember. So we talked about naming it last name underscore. This I'm going to name template. And then making sure that what you're setting it to on the longest side is going to be 17 for the width, and then the height is going to be 11, and our resolution is going to be 200. And our background is going to be white. And we'll say create. Here's our new document. We can bring up the grid once again by either going to View, and we can go down to Show and say Show Grid. But right next to that, you'll notice that we also have the key command to show the grid. So either we can bring up the grid, or like we talked about in class last week, is we can click inside of our rulers and drag down guides if we want to do it that way. And of course, I would be kind of measuring these exactly with where I wanted them to go. So you can either bring up the grid, which is command and then quotes, or you can also bring up your guides. Another way to bring up your guides is go to View, show, and then making sure that rulers, sorry, need to go to rulers and make sure that rulers is turned on. So right now I'm going to bring up the grid just for us to work in. The next thing that I need to do is I need to make sure that I have the text I need to include on each one of my slides. So I'm going to click on the text tool, and I'm just going to click one time, and you'll notice it'll fill with filler text. So what I'm going to do is just put in some filler text right now. So let's say title, medium, dimensions, and then the year. And I can double click inside of this, and I can actually triple click so that all of my text is selected. And then all of my typefaces are listed right here, which we'll actually talk about in our next class a little bit more. I can also change my point size. You can either manually do that, or you can click one of the pre-selected ones. And then of course right here, you've got kind of all of your different options for that typeface. But right now we're just going to use kind of the book or the regular version. And I would definitely play around with what your images are looking like. Where does this feel like a good place to sit? And kind of how does that feel overall? So I'm going to go ahead and save this and say that this is my template. And of course, I've already done one like this before, so we're going to make sure that we have that version saved. So once again, so I've got my template page. The next thing I'm going to do is, let's say that I have an image that I went through and I edited. I have all my edits right there. I'm going to go up to select all. I know everything's selected when I have those marching ants all the way around my screen. I'm going to go to edit, copy merged, go back to my template, Command V, Command T, and I'm going to resize it. And of course I can bring the grid up with Command quotes. And right now I'm just going to kind of sit it where I want it on the page. So I can find that center point when that pink line shows up. And then I can apply how I have resized it by hitting return or double clicking inside of the box. And now I'm going to just shift my title and kind of move it around. So once you do this first one is really kind of your template for what you want your other ones to look like. And once again, I'll go ahead and hit Save As. And now that this, let's say that this is one of our portfolio pages. And let's say that's the fourth page that we're working with, and I'll say save as that Photoshop document. So you'll go through, and like I said, it doesn't really, once you get the hang of it, it won't take that long to do 20 of these, 30 of these. Just making sure that you have that good workflow, that you have that good process, and that you're making good edits to your image.